We have a recipe for chicken soup. Not just any old chicken soup, it's my friend Carol's personal trainer's recipe for chicken soup. She calls it Polish gherkin soup. And we have here one gherkin, but we also have the magic ingredient of dill, which goes in at the very end. Very simple ingredients, a couple of leeks, a carrot or two, some celery, parsnip, when they're in season of course, potato to add starch, and the chicken. I've got a chicken breast. It's an organic chicken breast. I do recommend you get the best chicken because it really does taste different. And this is it. This is all you need for my friend Carol's personal trainer's chicken soup. Shall we begin? Here are the ingredients chopped up. I don't have a very neat way with vegetables. I tend to just chop them fairly crudely. Let's start with the celery here, the leeks, which will be the first ingredient in the pan, carrots, I've just done those into circles, the parsnip. Now I've included the parsnip because it is in Carol's friend's recipe, but as we are in Australia, I must say the parsnips have a very short season here. So if you buy parsnips out of season in Australia, they are very, very expensive. Also, even within the season, they're often quite woody. They have quite woody centres, so you're actually wasting a lot of stuff. But I am putting them in just this once. But in fact, I've made the soup without parsnips, and it's still absolutely delicious. The potato, which will go in, one of the last ingredients to go in, that's just chopped fairly coarsely. The chicken, bite-sized pieces. And the two last ingredients, the dill, plenty of dill you put in, and the chopped Polish gherkins. The stock, that can either be powdered stock or stock cube. The oil, can be any oil that doesn't burn and turn black. I'm using rice bran oil. And this is the pan with a lid, and we're ready to go. I like cooking by gas. I find gas infinitely flexible. You can just turn it on, you get a little hissing, you just, oh, you don't get anything. Oh yes you do. So I'm going to heat the oil, so I'm going to have it at a fairly robust temperature because I want the leeks to go into a really hot pan of oil. And you see I'm just doing a little bit of oil. I really am trying to cut down on fat. And this recipe is perfect for that. It really doesn't need very much. You don't need the leeks soaked in oil. But you do need some oil and you need a hot pan. So it'll probably take about 50 seconds to warm up. And then, voila, in go the leeks. And I will need a wooden spoon. Okay, so the fat's nice and hot, and into the pan, ooh, sizzle, go our chopped leeks. That's one leek, and the aim of this is to get them brown but not to get them burnt and not to have bits of burnt leek in the pan. So I'm going to turn down the heat quite dramatically, put the pan back, and I'm going to stand here and watch it like a hawk because the leeks, no, we're not having onions in this recipe. The leeks really do lend this dish a very subtle and beautiful flavour. So I don't want to destroy that subtle and beautiful flavour by burning them. Just let them sit for a bit. Now the leeks, as you see, are beginning to change colour. And I always think, if you have a devoted slave or a partner, this might be a very good thing for them to do, the watch on the leeks, because as I said, it does change the taste if they get burnt. So look, you see, they are nicely done. Very nice. Now into this pan is going to go the chicken, which just happens to be, oh yeah, right, there it is. So here we have the leeks. I'm not adding any extra fat. I'm going to take the parsley off. It doesn't need to be there. It's just decoration. And in goes our chicken pieces, our organic chicken pieces. Now, this is one chicken breast, and the soup is for two people. I would normally have more chicken, because I'm a big eater, but this is the recipe I'm following from Carol's friend, so I'm putting in this amount of chicken, which is plenty of course. And I mix it in with the leeks, and I'm going to turn, I'm just going to make sure that each piece gets white on the outside. So it's changing colour, it's not burning, and the leeks aren't burning either. I don't want to wreck all that diligence by burning them when I'm putting the chicken in. So again, the flame is quite robust, but I will turn it down slightly. Okay? And this should take just a few minutes. So as far as timing is concerned, the leeks should take 5 minutes, chicken should take 2 minutes just to be covered by the heat, not to be cooked. Don't think it's cooked because it isn't. Don't eat half-cooked chicken, very, very dangerous. Very dangerous indeed. So it's getting there. Our chicken. Now what I'm going to do is cover it. Ooh, listen to that noise, isn't that delicious? And I'm going to turn the heat down even more because I don't want it to burn. So a really nice little heat there. And I'm just going to go away for about 2 minutes because I'm going to put the rest of the vegetables in when that is a little bit more cooked. Chicken's been in there for about 2 minutes. Time to take off the lid. And we have some slightly brown chicken, which has now absorbed the beautiful flavour of the leeks. And now into the pan goes the parsnip, the carrot, the celery. Yippee! Look at the pretty colour. Oh, gorgeous, isn't it? But not the potato. Not yet. So we have a melange of vegetables and chicken. And that's going to sit there and just get a little bit brown. Again, I'm going to put the lid on. And again, very low heat because I don't want them burning, but I just want them to be brown slightly. Now, although I said I don't want this dish to be oily, sometimes you do need to add a bit more, and I think there's a lot of vegetables in there, so I'm just adding a few squirts, and maybe I'll turn the heat up a little bit so that oil gets in there. And back goes the lid. Okay, here we have the mixture, most of the mixture, but not yet with the potatoes, because I wanted the other vegetables to connect with the chicken, which I think they've done brilliantly. And now I'm going to put in my stock. Ooh, beautiful. There we have the stock, and I'm going to bring that to the boil, so I will need to turn the heat up a bit more to bring that to the boil, because until it boils I'm not going to add the potatoes, because potatoes need boiling water. And as you can see, it's quite a full pan, but it's going to get a lot fuller once the potatoes come in, and those 2 extra ingredients I told you about at the beginning. Just replace the lid and bring it to the boil. So I have removed the lid and it's now boiling very merrily. But of course it's not cooked yet, but we're going to add the final main ingredient, which is potato. Why potato? Because, as you notice, there's no flour in the recipe. We didn't put flour on the chicken, we didn't put flour on the vegetables, there was no flour in the stock. So the flour is the starch that comes from the potato. That's it. So it's a very, very, I think, a very healthy recipe. But it's going to need a little bit more boiling. I'm going to turn the heat down slightly because it is a bit boisterous, but I still want it to be a fairly solid bank of heat because it's got to boil. I want all those vegetables cooked. They can be al dente, but I want them cooked. I don't want any hard vegetables floating around in this lovely soup made by my friend Carol's personal trainer. La la! So 20 minutes have gone by and this little mixture has been bubbling quite merrily, and as you can see it hasn't lost a great deal of liquid, but the key factor, two key factors, is one, the potato. Is the potato done? Yes, potato is done. Now is the chicken done? Yep, I think the chicken's done. So all that remains now is to add the two last ingredients. Well, they're the penultimate ingredients. The dill. Lots and lots of dill, says Carol's personal trainer. And the gherkin. Chopped up gherkin. One gherkin chopped up. I'm going to get the spoon. Mix it in. And this is the final 5 minutes of the cooking. So I think we're going to have some beautiful vegetables. They're not going to be all squashy. I think the chicken's going to be tender. And of course we've got this final touch of this beautiful herb, the dill, together with the slightly salty, piquant taste of the pickled gherkin. I'm going to put the lid back on for the last 5 minutes of the cooking. 5 minutes is up. You can see we're on quite a high heat, but now we're going to turn it off. So the pan is just going to sit there with its delicious contents for about 5 to 10 minutes just to cool down slightly, and then we're going to add the final ingredient, which is a bit controversial. Aha! So there's still steam rising, even 10 minutes later, so maybe we should let it go for another 5 minutes. But as I'm showing you the recipe, I think I will add the final ingredient. I said it was controversial. It's controversial for me because I see this dish as quite a healthy sort of thing. But as it has Polish roots, cream is the final ingredient. But, says Joanna, whose recipe it is, only 2 tablespoons of cream, no more than that. So I'm going to add into the pan my 2 tablespoons of cream, single cream. There we are, just 2. And then I'm going to carefully with my wooden spoon, which of course I can't find, and I'll just have to jiggle it around. Have a jiggle. So that actually you've still got the actual soup, but you've got this lovely river of white going through it. And all you need to do now is serve it. So I'm going to do just that. I'm going to take my serving spoon and I'm going to put it into some bowls. It's beautiful. Beautiful. And there's no salt or pepper in, I may say. You can add salt and pepper. I personally don't. I'll tell you the reason why is because stock, bought stock, generally has quite a bit of salt in it. And you can always add it. You know, you can always ask your guests to add the salt and pepper. I would think after they've tasted it, some people just put it on willy-nilly, don't they? Because they just feel quite naked without salt and pepper. But for me, this dish is so wholesome. It's wholesome without being righteous. You know, it's not that sort of horribly healthy sort of stuff that really doesn't taste of anything at all. It's got a lovely robust flavour, and of course the gherkins coming in at the very end do add a bit of saltiness because they're preserved in brine. So for me, this is a salt-free, pepper-free soup. Just pop that in there. And all we need to do is take it to the table. And you can serve it with crusty wholemeal bread, Personally, I don't think it needs it because you've got the potato. And I personally don't think it really needs the cream. But apparently, because it's quite acidic, you need the cream to give that base of, I presume, alkali. And this is what we have. A delicious chicken soup that takes about, well, what, half an hour? We've been working on it, maybe half an hour, 40 minutes. Very simple ingredients, not expensive. Very few utensils needed, just a pan, a knife, a chopping board, and a wooden spoon. And I have not heard one single adverse or neutral comment about this soup. Every time I serve it, there's just one thing that comes to the table. Is there any more?